Hello and welcome to another Shady Raven video. Today I'm going to be profiling my Cyber Dragon deck. This is made out of basically 3 of the structure decks that came out, I think, February the 7th. It's got a few cards added in, and it's not quite complete yet. There are cards that are currently in this deck that I would not play in a sort of finished version, but I haven't got those cards yet, so I've put other cards in. I will go over the cards that I would change. On top of that, this is a much more budget build. I don't for one thing, there aren't loads and loads of holographic cards, and also I don't play some of the more expensive cards that would be quite good in this deck, for instance the DNA Surgery and Upstart Goblin, but they're really expensive at the moment due to the fact that everyone's using them, so they're not in this. I would put them in, but it is perfectly playable without them. So let's get on with the profile. Okay, for starters I play 3 Cyber Dragon. This is a Cyber Dragon deck. It'd be a bit silly not to play without them. I suppose you could play with 2 if you're really tight for space, but this is the main guy, I suppose, that gets everything out, or that you use for your big kills, I suppose. Let's play 3 Cyber Dragon Core. No, Cyber Dragon Zwei. These basically make all Cyber Dragons level 5 when he's normal summoned. Really useful for getting out Nova. And of course he counts as a Cyber Dragon. And I suppose he isn't too bad a beta. 1800 monster. But really he's going to be fodder for your Cyber Dragon, or Cyber Twin Dragons, and for your Novas. Then, as I said before, I do play 3 core. He's really useful. You normal summon him and you get out either Cyber Repair Plant or Cyber Network. That basically can then search out a Cyber Repair Plant can search out another Cyber Dragon, or your Cyber Network can be used then to banish lots of your Cyber Dragons so that you can then get them back after a few turns. Now, I do play 2 other sort of Cyber Dragon cards, Proto-Cyber Dragon and Cyber Dragon Zwei. Ideally, I would not play these. These are probably, both of them, probably going to come out, be replaced with, I think, Machine Duplication. Basically they're just there to count as Cyber Dragons to fill some spaces before I get... Basically Machine Duplication on Cyber Dragon Core basically allows you to get out 2 Cyber Dragons, because Core counts as Cyber Dragon when on the field. So that's a nice combo, but for now I've just got these 2. Also then play 3 Cyber Valley, just a little bit for stall, I suppose. Your opponent probably won't attack into him, unless they've only got 1 monster. One of them's probably going to come out of the final deck, but it's just, for the moment, just to add to draw power. Then I play 2 Jade Knights. Again, one's going to come out. It's not as useful as I thought it would be. Basically, when it's destroyed, you can add a dry to your hand, which is relatively useful, but I don't think it's useful enough for 2. And of course its 1800 defense is not that useful sometimes for its effect to go off, because sometimes you set it, your opponent attacks into it, and actually they end up losing life points, but quite often it goes off, but often they don't try and use a big beta on a set card. They'll use something with, 15 to 18 or something, so it doesn't always work. Then I play Shining Angel 1. Again, this is probably one I'm going to take out. This is part of the slower build that I have at the moment. this has sort of been fit into virtually any light deck I've ever played. It allows you to, when it's destroyed by battle, special summon a light monster with 1500 or less attack from your deck. So either it special summons itself, obviously it doesn't do it in this case, but it would special summon a Proto or a Core or something. But often you want Core's effect to go off by its normal summon, so it's not really very useful. 2, the light Hex-Sealed fusion. This is a very useful card. Sometimes you don't always have the Cyber Dragons in hand or on the field to use for your fusion monsters. You do quite often have one in hand, so I'm probably going to cut it down to 1 and replace it with something else. You know, it is very, very useful, I suppose. Especially if you're really desperate for that OTK with the power bond to get your Cyber Twin Dragon out. And play 1 Cyber Eltanin. This is very useful just as a field wipe or monster wipe, I suppose. I suppose it's like a dark hole, but it doesn't destroy monsters, it just sends them. So you just banish everything on the field and in your graveyard, and it gets 500 attack for each, I think, is it light machine or just machines? I can't remember. Banished. And then it sends all the cards to the graveyard, so that's really useful. And of course you get a monster there that you can attack your opponent generally directly. It's also useful if you just banish 1 monster or something from your graveyard. It gains 500 defense, and you just use it as a blocker essentially for a turn. And the final monster, Honest. It's lights. I don't really need to explain that. So that's all the monsters that I play for this. Onto the spells. I play 3 Cyber Repair Plant. This is just for searching out your Cyber Dragons. I don't really use it for its second effect. I suppose you can. I also play 3 Power Bond. I think you need to play it at 3. It's basically your win condition. I do play a much more OTK centered build to this. Basically, you just use the Power Bond with 2 Cyber Dragons. You get out your Cyber Twin Dragon, maybe having wiped the field or something beforehand. It becomes a 56 and it can attack, and obviously Cyber Twin Dragon can attack twice. So, and even if you don't get the OTK, you're only taking 28 at the end of the turn, which isn't too bad. I do intend to play a 1 Day of Peace at some point so that I can get rid of that. And obviously if I ever went into a Cyber End, taking 4,000 is pretty bad. So the 1 Day of Peace will go in this deck eventually. 1 limiter removal, because I'm playing machines, why not? 1 D.D.R. You're banishing quite a lot in this deck, so I do play 1. It's not really very useful. Again, it's probably one that it's on that, can be sided out or will be taken out of the main deck. So, you know, 3 MST, because this deck suffers horribly from mirror forces and whatnot. I mean, it's not too bad, obviously, if you're attacking with the Nova, but if you end up attacking with the Cyber Twin Dragon and they have a back row set and it ended up being Mirror Force or Dimensional Prison or something, that's really bad. It's just really irritating, I suppose. 2 Cyber Network, only because 3 is a little big. I quite like it at 2. It hasn't failed me at 2. It's searchable. I mean, I might even cut it down to 1 and fit something else in. But for now, it's at 2. Sorry, I am moving on to traps now, as you can see. 2-dimensional prison, because I hate being attacked, essentially. 2 Wobbaku, because battle damage and getting my monsters destroyed is a bit of a pain, I suppose. Again, it's this thing of stall. Even a threatening roar or what's it called? Swords of Revealing Light wouldn't be too bad in this deck if you were going to go another kind of stall build. And of course 2 Mirror Force, because that's generally standard. And again, it's just good to wipe the field beforehand and to save some of your monsters that you need for next turn. So that is the main deck. I do have a primitive Cyber extra deck. Most of it's just the stuff from the structure deck put in, but I do have 3 Cyber Twin Dragons. I think 3 is quite good. I see a lot of people play 2, but for the moment this deck isn't full, so I just play the full 3. This is basically your win card, so at 3 it's not too bad. I play 3 Cyber Dragon Nova. This is what you either use to get that out with, or as, I suppose, another attacker itself. I do use this as an attacker to sort of destroy my opponent's setup a little bit, you know, not letting them have monsters on the field. Just attack over them and slowly eat away at their life points. I probably would drop this down to 2 because it's not as useful as you initially think, but it is very, very good. 1 Utopia. You do play quite a lot of level 4s, and especially after Cyber Network's gone off, obviously there's no way to make some of those level 4 Cyber Dragons level 5, so, and of course you can't attack that turn anyway, so having a Utopia there is quite good just for stall before. And because I have lots and lots of space in this, I just play a Crazy Box. A Granosaurus, which will come out because I probably won't have enough level 3s left by the time I sort of fiddle around with the main deck. And 1 Gachi Gachi. That will probably stay in there. That's quite nice. I suppose it's a weaker Utopia that sometimes occurs with the cores. It's been quite useful. And of course, you know, sometimes I end up tributing it even for Cyber Dragon to finish off, essentially. So that is that is the there we are. That's the extra deck. So I hope you've enjoyed this profile, and I hope you enjoy sort of, please leave comments below what you could, please suggest what I could do to this deck to make it a bit more competitive. I do intend to get at least 1 Cyber End Dragon and a Chimeric Fortress Dragon, a Chimeric Over Dragon, but I haven't got them yet, and I haven't got enough money to get them in the near future. But, you know, after Easter or so, I probably will have them. So, yeah. Also tell me what you think about these awesome sleeves. I got these from Korea. They're the OCG ones, but they are Nova ones. I hope these come into TCG sets as well. So tell me what you think of them. And hope to see you soon. And goodbye!